Hey movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you. So today we're taking a closer look at Criterion's new 4K UHD release of Trainspotting that comes home with a new 4K restoration from the original 35mm negative, forming a native 4K DI with HDR10 and Dolby Vision grading and the theatrically appropriate ratio of 1:85:1 when previous releases was 1:78:1, and this has been all supervised and approved by director Danny Boyle. Now, Trainspotting is yet another casualty of studio manipulation back in the day, changing the color tones and really the entire look of the film for better home media viewing back in the day in the 90s and early 2000s. And Trainspotting has had multiple releases on DVD and a Blu-ray like this one. And all the releases on DVD and Blu-ray all still carry the same look the studio gave it back in the 90s. The main problem is for some reason the studio added this really ugly, reddish, hot tint that washed over the image. That really became very problematic to the film. To the point where Danny Boyle has gone on record disowning the transfer used for the DVD and the Blu-ray. And when you see the comparison stills between the 4K and the previous release Blu-ray, you're definitely going to see why that is. So let's get into it. Let's take a closer look at Trainspotting in 4K UHD and see if it's worth the upgrade from the previous Blu-ray. Right from the get-go, you can immediately tell this is a whole new master, faithfully bringing Trainspotting back to the way the filmmakers intended the film to be seen in its theatrical appearance, based off the original 35mm negative. And as you can see here for yourself, the Blu-ray again had this really ugly tannish or reddish hot wash over the image, which of course was never the intention of Danny Boyle or his DP, Brian Dufano. Instead, the film, outside of some few hyper visual moments, has a very natural, organic look and colors to it. Using this tannish or reddish wash tint over the image became a big detriment to the film's visual design, to the point of even obscuring finer details and especially color tones as well that were absent from the DVD and the Blu-ray for decades. And now we have this back intact. This shot alone shows you all you need to know about this 4K, how great this 4K looks. Along with this shot here in the nightclub, look at the corner light on the right-hand side. It's got that nasty hot yellowish tint to it, while the exact same light on the 4K actually looks like how it's supposed to look. And also another example here is during Ritten's detox scene with Diane sitting on the bed. The skin tone is different and improved on. And this is just 3 areas out of many where the film and the director's approved original theatrical appearance is back to how the film is supposed to look. Primary colors here are off the charts, and the HDR10 and Dolby Vision grading is used as a very specific tool, only enhancing what's already there, giving the image a very active and vibrant natural colors with a little bit more complexity to it and some much needed added color depth. We now have bold, vibrant candy and deeper crimson reds that look much more appropriate now and not hot as it does on a Blu-ray. We also have cooler and more natural blues, electric bright yellows that ignites, along with some nice fuller greens. And secondaries and hues are also stronger, vibrant, and warmer. And all of this is specifically designed to convey a certain feeling to a certain scene, used by Danny Boyle and his DP as a visual language. And the HDR and Dolby Vision grading handles all of this impressively well with much more appropriate colors here on the 4K. Now, since the main characters are either on drugs or withdrawing from drugs, and the film is set in Scotland, we can now see many faces and skin tones with different ranges of pale skin tones to warmer skin tones. And again, this is used as a visual language where the viewer can differentiate between the people who are on drugs or withdrawing from drugs and those who aren't. While on the Blu-ray, we just didn't get this. It was just one monotone shade of pasty pale skin tones without any differences. The saturation is fantastic, only used enough to give the image more life and punch back into the colors that was severely lacking on the Blu-ray and DVD. And this really helps in giving a much more authentic, natural lifelike image without any areas looking overly saturated or too hot as they do on the Blu-ray. It's balanced perfectly. Contrast is also dialed in just right, pumping back some much needed natural brightness back into the image that really helps a lot with the daylight Scottish exterior scenes, but also helping out with the darkly lit and night scenes, giving a more appropriate look to them. Highlights are also handled incredibly well here. The Blu-ray had a lot of hot spots within lights, dance lights in the clubs, headlights, windows in the background that were blown out. Now these same areas are very nicely balanced out, very evenly. Now the Blu-ray also had a very big mishandling of black levels. It was littered with mismatched black levels with some very heavy crushing in areas. It was just a mess, engulfing some of the finer details and even color tones. There is a big night and day difference here between the Blu-ray and the 4K. And with the HDR10 and Dolby Vision grading, it really brings back more strength into the black levels that are much better resolved here, creating truer, deeper inky blacks and richer velvety shadows that all penetrates deep into the screen. Another big reference point with this 4K is the attention to details and texturals that are incredibly stronger here thanks to the higher resolution, bringing more finer lines in the image with razor sharp clarity. This really showcases the rich production design from all the decay on walls, holes, cracks, dirt and grime that covers the walls, ceilings, and floors, even down to dirt and specks of debris left on the carpet of the floor that's littered with all types of drug paraphernalia, and especially in the backgrounds. It's all there and stays clear and sharp from any direction the camera's pointed at. A really great scene here is with the worst toilet in Scotland sequence. You can feel the cesspool the area is as Renton goes into the bathroom. And the detail level also goes for the costume designs, where we can now make out various patterns and designs in clothing. Even loose stitching and wear and tear in clothes are much more revealing now. And facial close-ups reveal pores, blemishes, beads of sweat during withdrawal sequences. It's all very impressive, especially when compared to the DVD or the Blu-ray. Now with the Blu-ray and even the DVD, they both looked extremely flat and dull. Trainspotting 4K now carries a terrific sense of added depth and three-dimensionality and also spaciousness. And this is perfectly clear during Renton's Perfect Day sequence, in which Renton sinks into the floor after ODing. It just looks much more realistic and is an excellent reference point, displaying a great sense of spacing and dimensionality to the image. And the bitrate here is excellent, ranging from 87 topping out at 120 Mbps in some areas. Grain field is also fully intact here, giving all that rich, fine 35mm grain field that looks organic and much more appropriate here on this 4K. Criterion is doing superb work with their 4K titles, and Trainspotting only proves just how much a 4K restoration and a 4K UHD title vastly improves upon on all these films that have been released over and over again on DVD and Blu-ray that were inaccurate and went against the filmmaker's vision. We now have movies the way the filmmakers intended us to see the film. Alright, now let's get into the audio presentation of Trainspotting 4K, and unfortunately we don't have an updated Atmos mix, which is a big missed opportunity. Trainspotting not only has a rich visual language to it, but also a terrific sound language and audio experience, and it would have really elevated this 4K, the film, even more, fully utilizing the film's sound design with an Atmos track. Instead, Criterion opted for an updated DTS HD 5.1 lossless mix that is sourced from the original 6-track masters. And this new DTS HD lossless 5.1 track really gives the audio a huge improvement over the very dated 5.1 track on the Blu-ray. There is a much greater sense of presence throughout the film with aggressive, dynamic surround effects that spread across all 5 discrete channels and comes through very clear, that also sounds fuller and spacious. The low ends are also better, giving some weight and depth to the heavy bass, especially with the techno and house music throughout the film. Dialogue is rendered perfectly clear and precise. Alright guys, so I'm giving Criterion's 4K UHD presentation of Trainspotting a resounding overall 5 out of 5 for video and audio. This is hands down a top tier shelf 4K UHD release. Alright, well now I want your opinion here. When you look at the differences here between the two formats, the previous release Blu-ray and the new 4K UHD, which do you think looks better? head over to the comment section and let me know. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for hanging out a few minutes here with me talking about Trainspotting compared to this thing here. Let's get rid of that hot mess. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time.